Here is Chris with today's topic.
Well,
Yeah,
I always say when we're dealing with some of these really big companies, because we got a lot of them now, and
yeah,
they're in the journey with us now, which is
right,
opposed to on the outside watching. I always say, we're just not afraid of the hard work.
right.
And they go, "It's hard work." I go, "Yeah, we'll do it.
Well,
We'll
and
do
I
the hard
think
work."
I think that when you do have this facility in New Jersey go live, and you make these other announcements that we're looking forward afterwards, more business, more partners, and whatnot, it's going to be a big validator for the company overall. I mean, because I think that technology, more than any one factor, is what brought you to Commerce's attention in the
It
first
is. Oh,
place.
no question. No
Because
question.
this again is a multi-trillion dollar global need, and what better, game plan is
Yeah,
there to take
yeah.
US made technology and show the world how this can be fixed?
It's exportable, no question.
Right.
It's exportable, and I think our solution will be all over the world. No doubt.
That'll
Actually,
be great. Well, the other thing going on of major note in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, is your battery technology
yeah,
work that is moving along, and you've shared with me recently some of the things we may see in 2026 for it.
yep,
And this is something where I've tried to get people, even companies that I know and love and follow, not you, of course, but in the lithium space, especially in the nickel space and others. Hey, the whole world does not revolve just around batteries for EVs, electric vehicles,
oh
or
yeah,
for hybrids, which will still get some traction, even though EVs, at least in this part of the world, are kind of not done for. But Ford just had to swallow a really hard $19 billion pill or whatever it was, and admit that okay, we're not going to do this anymore with the F-150 that Joe Biden happily drove around once upon a time. But the big thing coming up is energy storage. That's a whole and an infinitely larger
oh
market
yeah.
for
A hundred-
batteries for energy storage than EVs
Right,
were ever going to be.
right.
Especially with data centers, especially now with AI, and even if you believe, as I do, that some of the AI stuff is a little bit hyped, and we're not going to see all of this gazillions of dollars of investment that are being thrown around and promised. This is still the future. It's still happening to at least some extent. And all
Right.
this is done with is to further increase the already gargantuan appetite we have for juice.
Right.
And I
We're right
remember
in the middle of it.
vividly when, yeah, a few years ago, you and I were together at a conference in Puerto Rico, and you had just at the time
Picked up.
purchased the technology
Right.
that you've now got to the stage where you're going to start looking for partners and commercialization for it. So tell
That's
us
right.
about your unique battery design.
Yeah. So the battery, yeah, I always say it starts with technology and then people and strategy and money, right? So all of those things are required to have commercial success. And the technology starts with a better battery. And so you're right. So there's a gap in the market for long duration. Long duration is the ability to tap a battery over an extended period of time. And that's primarily focused on what's called resiliency. Resiliency is this idea that you're up 24/7, 365, never down. And that is an extraordinary demand. And there's a big gap in the market. And relying on lithium, we think, is a huge mistake. There's a lot of lithium batteries that are filling that interim void. I'm going to call it interim because they're going to get swapped out. And the reason is simple. Lithium ion exchange has a degradation issue. So batteries that don't degrade. Okay, so I'm gonna just show you juxtaposition real quick, right? Number one, lasts a long time. You can pull it. Lithium doesn't last a long time. It's a short acting. It's lithium ion and sodium ion both are designed for high impact, quick, like a car engine. Boom, accelerate the power, right? Acceleration. Okay. It's a different game. And they want light and they want portable and it's a solid state. It's a whole different sort of thing. Okay. Long duration, grid scale is another animal. And in that space, you want resiliency. Okay. And so what do you need? You need a battery you can tap a long time. You need efficient. It needs to last a long time, not just pull for a long time, but the lifespan of the battery. So why is our battery a 20-year battery and ion exchange is usually a 7 to 10 year battery? Because they degrade. It's just really simple. And so when you study technologies, which we do, we're students of them, you say, why do these ion exchange degrade? Well, it's because they have side reactions across the ion exchange membrane. And those side reactions create Dendrites. Dendrites are like formations, like little crystals that attach themselves to the electrodes, and over time they build up and they stop the transfer of electrons. I mean, it's really pretty basic, that side reaction. Also, they have limited span. You can't tap them to 100%. You can't beat the stew out of it and take it to zero like ours. Ours, you can go to 100%, go to zero, and it's not going to degrade. You're not going to hurt the battery. Now, it runs out of energy. Okay, no problem. But you didn't destroy the battery. So one of our claims, which is very important, is this no perceptible degradation. And we say no perceptible for the obvious science reason, right? Somebody's going to show me 0.0002% one day. I'm like, okay, but it's a 20-year battery, and we've got enough cycle history and evidence to support that claim with where we're at. And then what you do as a company is you combine that with warranty and economics. You figure out your warranty exchange. When you have a battery, a pack of cells like ours, it's called Cellinity. Cellinity. Think infinity cell, Cellinity, right? Cellinity. Okay. You can monitor these cells operation remotely, each cell. So if you do have degradation or you have somebody knocks it or it becomes connected, you can see it. You can replace a cell. If it doesn't have the explosive capability of lithium and you overtax a cell for some reason, it's not going to light up the other cells. It can't. It's not able to do so. Therein lies a huge benefit for insurance, risk, manufacturing excellence, all of these things that are really an outcry for the environmental impact that these data centers and large scale manufacturing facilities are facing all over the world. And we're a beautiful solution to bring a better battery with high energy density, long lasting, long lifespan, 100% recyclable, no internal degradation that we can perceive, and match the economics, right, of delivering that on a capex that makes sense in the world.
Yeah.
And then we dovetail it with strategy. Okay. So technology's the start.
Well, and the other thing too about this that is important, and you obviously let people know about this, is that unlike with lithium ion batteries or even LFP batteries that are, more economical, you've still got in some respects sourcing issues. Can you
Oh
get
yeah.
all of the lithium? Can you get all of the
Right.
phosphate? Can you get
Right.
all of the iron? Can you get all of this other kind of stuff? You're dealing with one of the most basic
Salt.
staple substances you
Yep. You can
possibly
get it from the
can.
ocean. So you get it from the
Yeah,
ocean. Salt bed. Yeah. Sodium chloride's number one. There's some sulfur. There's some other chlorides that are
yeah,
important, but there's no rare earth elements.
right.
Okay. So no cobalt, no nickel, no lithium, of course. And then they're put in stainless steel. There is a ceramic component, easily manufactured. The way we say it is 100% of the parts can be sourced domestically anywhere in the world. Now, think of what I just said. Sourced domestically anywhere in the world. You can put them in Brazil. You can put them in Mexico. You can put them in Europe, anywhere in Europe. You put them in Northern Africa. You can put them anywhere, and you can source the materials industrially. Now, they are industrial grade supply,
Yeah.
and so you do need a supply chain still. So I don't want to give any illusion that all the supply chain is worked out,
Oh,
but
but you're saying in all
conceptually,
these other countries, if you have a battery plant there, the components for this battery can be they don't have to come from the U.S. If they're
correct.
built in the U.S., they can come from the U.S. If they're built someplace else, they can largely or entirely come from those areas.
Right, and they don't require a Southeast Asia or China supply chain. Now,
Right.
there's a bias in the market. I will tell you, and this is part of our challenge, right? We always say, until you've done it all, everybody always says it's too good to be true. And I'm like, well, we've been doing that for 18 years, and guess what? They are true. So we know this. We know it's true. We know it's doable and scalable. But proving that to the world is the challenge. Getting through the adoption cycle. And so when we talk about the components, there is the bias, and in the bias in the battery industry is that there's been a lot of failure over time. There's companies that have really had a hard time scaling. Tesla, of course, is a beautiful story for that. They leveraged public incentives in the most masterful way. Okay, they had other revenue sources that allowed them to scale early with SpaceX.
Yeah.
They got government subsidy. I always say, are they in the car business? Are they in the battery business? Or in the public incentive business? It might be in the public incentive business.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at their numbers, that's where they've gotten most of their money. So it's the combination that's required. And we have a very unique skill set in that area too. We've got multiple sources of revenue. We've got a conservative CapEx strategy, and we're now in the sweet spot of an innovation to reinstall manufacturing, domestic and export technology abroad, not both, to build workforce, to solve to fill the gap in the energy expansion cycle, help solve the AI boom. And guess what? The tax incentives for our space for energy storage are intact, right? There's a number of incentives, plus workforce, plus opportunity zone, all these other things that come to bear. The access to public funding for this endeavor is astonishing. And so for us, we had to do a couple of things. We had to, number one, prove the technology was real. We had to demonstrate that we're a group that can scale and have confidence in that scalability. We had to find some pull from some partners that say, I want this in my town. I want you here. And so we built a business model that encourages that sort of thinking. We don't say, can I please come to your town? We say, would you like me to come there? And they say, please come here because you're going to hire 1,000 people. You're
Right.
going to create $1 billion worth of revenue. You're going to help us solve the energy gap crisis. I mean, it's got just all these things that make it so attractive to be incentivized. And that goes back to that enabling policy, right? I mean, we live this, okay? As
Yeah.
a company, we live this stuff. And this is a spot where we say, we can do this with you in your community. We can invest in your community. We can hire and train your people. We can create longevity of careers, economic prosperity. And it's why? Because this is the most significant. I believe that the AI investment thesis is the largest single investment thesis in the history of the planet. That's what we're talking
Well, it
about.
certainly is right now. And again, even if you believe that some of it is a little bit too much hype and might not be realized, it's still gargantuan.
It's
I mean,
gargantuan.
we are
Yeah.
way beyond the beginning of the internet and things like that. No question about that. But you already had along the way of developing this battery technology, you've already received third-party validation
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
design, the functioning of, and the whole nine yards. And so
That's
now
right.
you're moving more toward finding, one or more partners to do the commercialization.
I think we're going to end up with dozens, if not
Right.
50s and hundreds kind of partners scenario on this one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so
And
there's work to do.
essentially what you're going to do is franchise this for
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we
like a
call it
simple term.
a franchise model and a joint venture structure, right? So
Right.
the idea is to bring in partners who want to capitalize these businesses around the world, lean heavily towards the things that allow public finance to support these efforts because it creates the money, it allows the money to stay at home and prosper, okay, which is awesome. And we leave a lot of money there for the community, for reinvestment, for workforce development, for hiring and training, because what we learned was that if we could show the world that the technology deserved to go at global scale, because that's really the thesis, and it does deserve global scale. And if you create this empowering business model, empowering technology, people recruit you to come all over the world. And that's what's happened. So we've got
Yeah.
a bunch of MOUs signed. We've talked about the New Jersey project, which is probably one of the most advanced. And it's just a great opportunity. We
Well,
have a
and I
development.
want to focus on that before we move on to Cleara, which is going to have some near-term
Sure.
major news early in 2026, we believe. But I'm going to kind of switch things up because we've touched on this a couple of times already. It's not just your PFAS remediation unit that is a hot button thing in New Jersey right now. Like a lot of other industrial states, not that it's only industrial states, this can pertain to anybody, but they're looking to replace a lot of lost jobs, lost population over the recent years and so forth. And so you've already got a lot of irons in the fire just in New Jersey with
Yeah.
overtures to BioLargo over what can we do here and the
Right.
kind of give and take that would be. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So as I say to all of our investors all the time, we talk about it all openly. There's a couple of different markets where our technology really shines. One is people that want a lot of batteries. Who wants a lot of batteries? Hyperscalers, data center developers, right? They need it. Who else? People that want job creation, economic development. And our model can serve both. That's the punchline. Our model serves both. Why? because when we walk into the opportunity, we present an economic thesis where our partners know exactly how we make money, exactly how we make money, and how much money we leave in the system for everyone else. See, that's what makes it work. And plus, it's great technology and it fits the void and it's the cycle and all these other things that really come together, right? Great tech, strategy, time, moment, solution providing. Okay. So in New Jersey, there's a public-private partnership that's being architected. And the way that happens is a development partner of ours, that's 22nd Century by Design, and they have a website. People can look at it, 22ND, 22nd Century Design. Be sure and take a look. Has gone out and created opportunities around the world. And in that, it's a high impact strategy. High impact means what? Reinvestment, workforce, employment, circular economy, recycle capability. And it includes multiple technologies and our battery tech. That's the way to think about it. It also includes our PFAS. But in any event, it's a ecosystem thesis. The idea is to create an ecosystem that can have multiple things that make it work, including battery tech that's the hottest one commodity markets in the world right now. And so that economic thesis allows for investment to occur to pull us and 22nd Century into a marketplace. And so that is how it's going. So now we're talking about public-private partnerships where public agencies can look at us and say, "Oh my goodness, I can revitalize an entire region by hiring 1,000 people and creating $2 billion worth of revenue." And right, and all the economic impact that revolves around that in that marketplace. And so that's what's going on. And so it's hot and heavy. I mean, we're pushing. And again, the caveat's always the same, which is nothing's done until it's done. But the way
Right.
that looks is you form the alliances, you got to go get the big finance, you got to bring in economic development money, and it translates to a site which has already been chosen. It transfers to development partners chosen, constructors chosen, technology chosen. Okay, so right, so what do you got to do now? You have to articulate this in a way that allows you to secure the kind of finance resources that we're talking about at scale, and then push this into a development cycle. Because the day you start, you got about 2 years of work before you go live producing batteries, cells, and battery packs coming off the line. And you got a massive supply chain. So this is very large industrial scale. One of the things we always talk about is we modeled a factory at about 170 million each. Okay. And then what happens is inevitably is the marketplace says, I want one that's a 2X. Okay. So just 170 times two. Now you're talking about close to $500 million investment to
Yeah.
create that enterprise. So then why? Because the demand for those battery cells is insatiable.
Yeah.
You can't make enough. And we're watching other companies with what I would call good tech, not the cutting edge tech. It's classic. Just like PFAS we talked about a few minutes ago. People adopt what they know. Same thing's happening in battery tech. And so why is that working? Because the demand is so great, I'll take an inferior battery today.
Yeah.
And so right now, and when I'm on the phone with partners and customers, they say, I need a battery like in 6 months. I say, I'm not a 6 month battery supplier. I'm a battery factory supplier. Do you want to build a factory? And what happens is for those that groups that can understand the impact as well as the demand side of the equation at scale, they say, I'm in. And that's where we're focused. And that's not everybody, but it's not a few, it's dozens, if not more.
Yeah.
This is big business. And so I think for BioLargo, it's a transformative opportunity, and it's taking that route and then making sure that we have local buy-in, local support, the things that make it such an attractive local thing is one of the reasons we're going to succeed when others fail, because we're very sensitive to it. And having that development partner allows us to really customize these strategies to make sure that the needs are being met at not just one level. It's not just a battery tech. It's a battery tech that hires 1,000 people and trains them, that
Right.
creates a multi-generational career track, that installs high-tech manufacturing, creates net export dollars, puts the money back to work for food and agriculture and water. That's an ecosystem strategy. And I got to tell you, in my journey, this is the kind of thing that is taking a career to learn how to do. This is not, gosh, I hope we can find a customer. No, no, no. This is, I hope we can transform a global market.
Yeah,
It's just a different way of thinking, and I
sure.
think it's awesome.
Well, I do too. And folks, there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff as we get into the new year. If you're not already on our list, make sure that you sign up. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, follow BioLargo. Again, there'll be a number of links along with this video. So to wrap up for the battery segment then, Dennis, for 2026, the year ahead, what kind of milepost should we be anticipating?
There's a couple of big ones. The first is partnerships. So what'll happen is these projects will turn into partnerships. That includes the development partners, the construction partners, all these things that make it all. Ultimately, it's going to transfer to securing financing. And so that's the thing. You got to get these are big projects. They require a lot of money. And so we're working on that multi-channel financing strategy. Remember that huge economic incentives are in this portfolio. The second is we'll continue to advance the scalability. That's the manufacturing techniques. And we've got a whole bunch of work going on there. And we'll have capital, we'll have additional capital that will come in. And so that's it. 2026 is going to be secure your spots, round up the capital, deploy the assets, go to scale. I mean, that's the next push. And the thing that I want to remind everybody is remember that the day we start, because of our business model, we make money. So that when we say, hey, we've got financing, we're not burning our balance sheet. We're supplying services to a project in which we're a minority owner and technology licensor. So we get paid all the way through and not in a greedy way, in a fair and balanced way, but it allows us to do the work as an innovator that most people can't afford to do because we've structured it to really capitalize that market. And the incentives are awesome.
Neat, neat.